students. Welcome to week 12. Can you believe it? We have 4 more weeks left. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I guess 5 weeks left after the conclusion of this week. So we're finishing up Unit 7, and we're about to move into Unit 8, and then we have our final exam. And so in the announcements, you should be able to find the some study guides for the final, so you might want to start practicing with that. Otherwise, I have a couple of announcements on how to finish up this unit's lesson. So let's go there first. Here is the Submit Your Report Blue Planet lesson. Notice it's worth a lot of points. And so as you go through this lesson, you basically are finishing up the report that you've been building this whole time. So when you submit it, it's going to look like this, and you're going to submit it to me. You're going to want to make sure your analysis is done. So why is the planet blue? Is Earth changing now? What happens when temperatures change so fast? And then what is causing the change? And is it us? So that's the analysis. With the synthesis, you need to write 2 to 3 sentences, and then you can include some observations here. What is the changing planet? How has it changed in the past? Maybe you mentioned the PETM, a couple key images, and then causes and consequences. So what has been a cause and what is a result? Okay, and then the last part is this design. So you need a target that you already have set out in the lessons, and then type your explanation here. So they provided some good reasons in the last lesson as to why we are wanting it to stay under 2 degrees. Right now, I think it's about 1.5 that most climate scientists and people who are involved in this issue are pushing for. And then you're going to enter some of the scenarios that you considered. So those are some of the solutions. So for example, going to extremes on trying to reduce the amount of greenhouse gases or carbon dioxide emitted from transportation. How can we use alternate sources of energy like wind or solar, geothermal? And then maybe some other examples of innovative strategies, capturing the carbon in reforestation, afforestation, planting trees where there were none, and then your global plan here is going to draw from one of your observations as well. So you might want to take a look at some of the evidence where we went all across the globe to look at different effects. So then you want to finish this primary focus to reach your goal of 2%. What are the 2 that you're going to focus on? And then why is your plan a good idea? Like, what benefit does it have? What must society do for your plan to be implemented? What is the economic cost of your plan? And what is the ecological cost? So the economic being the what has to do with money, right? So how people live and sustain themselves. The ecological cost being how the environment sustains itself throughout this development. When you're all done, you're going to go ahead and press submit. Let's say you have not done a great job of keeping up with some of the observations. That's okay. I actually went ahead and I made an alternate lesson for your final report. So this comes from this amazing book, this list of solutions called Drawdown. So I'll show you this book here. Drawdown, the most comprehensive plan ever proposed to reverse global warming. And this was a massive effort by, if I go to the back of the book, I can show you. There's like pages of people who contributed to this comprehensive look at all of the different plans. So, for example, if we just open up to one like food composting, there's a nice article, and it actually gives you some really cool statistics here. So one thing it says is the ranking results by 2050. So again, we're looking far out in advance into the future to try to reduce the effects of global warming. Why don't you think we will start to see these effects right away? Good question. A lot of these technologies need time to work and to adapt, and it's good to set goals a little bit further in the future, right? You guys know that. So here we go. For food composting, we have 2.28 gigatons of reduced CO2, minus 63.7 billion net cost, and minus 60.8 billion in net savings. So some of these things, like if you have to build something like a nuclear power plant, that's going to cost some money, but then you might get some money back in savings. So what you're going to do is select 3 of these solutions. You're going to read about them and take notes on the benefits. Any regrets, for example, are there consequences? Like when you look at nuclear power, what you need to mine uranium, which is radioactive. When that happens, it leaves a lot of waste, tillings, uranium waste that needs to be cleaned up, and that's a huge problem. Uranium radioactive material can lead to cancer. We'll learn about that in our next unit. Okay, and then this book actually lists out the rankings, so you're going to list that. Gigatons of reduced CO2, the net costs, net savings, and then link any resources that you have. Then to complete this project, here's a template, so you would make a copy. Here are the directions to that source. But then you're basically doing the same thing as the report. But let's say if you can't get the report to run, this is the way that you'd want to do the alternate assignment. How has the planet changed? Causes and consequences. And then list out your solution. The first solution, second, and third. And then here in this box, you can add pictures, you can add diagrams, and then you want to write a little bit about what each solution is. And then include any resources. And this is what you would submit for your Blue Planet report. Come on Friday and I'll actually do an example of how to submit this. We also have a couple really cool other announcements. In our last lesson, they talked a lot about designing cities and how do we consult someone called an urban ecologist. Urban meaning city, ecologist, someone that has to deal with interactions of nature. And there's this concept that's actually come across a couple times for me this week called biophilic. It's sort of a neat concept, bio meaning life and phile meaning loving, right? And the question here is, do we need nature? And this is an alternate lesson you could do as well, especially if you're in the honors group. You could do this as one of your honors discussion topics. What's really neat is that tomorrow we have the opportunity to meet with a young woman named Izzy, who I met while planting trees in Utah, and she is studying urban ecology at the University of Utah. And so she is going to hop on a Zoom call with us tomorrow at 12, or I should say, for you guys it'd be 11 a.m., and I'll post that announcement. And you can come learn about what is an urban ecologist, do we need nature, how do we design cities with this vision of being able to incorporate more nature into our cities, which I was just reading has really good effects, like streets with trees reduce the amount of crime on them. Kind of interesting. So, that summarizes what is going down this week. And this is sort of our version of Ask an Expert. So we also have Zara, who is a college student in environmental justice, and she will be speaking to us 10 a.m. What will be 10 a.m. on Friday, and that is right before our live lesson together. So I hope you can make it to one of those 2 discussions. That would be really awesome. If you're in honors, that would count for one of your honors discussions. Well, actually, 2. If you attend a live discussion and prepare a question and a reflection, that counts for 2. out of 4 total that you need. Okay, so then the other thing I want to mention is that there is an alternate assignment for keeping the balance. So if you were to go click on the modules, if you're having trouble with the program, you can fill out this, which goes into mission biomes, taking a take 2 on Earth, greatest experiment on Earth, talking about the biosphere. So this is a really cool lesson you can do instead. All right, then, yeah, I guess what else? If you're in honors, I have a rubric for you now. And you can find that under the module. Here's the rubric. And here it shows your 2 discussion options and then all of the Wonderment paths that you can be a part of. And then you can also lobby. So this is really exciting. I'm with this organization called SUA. And this year, and we do something called lobbying. So lobbying is going to your congresspeople and using your voice to say, this is what I think should happen. And so this year, what we're actually doing is promoting something called ARWA, America's Red Rock Wilderness Act. And it protects 9 million acres of land from extraction from oil and gas and development, and keeping them wilderness zones. So we are going to be going to Arizona representatives, and it would be so cool to have you guys in the meetings if this is something that you're interested in. It's a pretty unique opportunity, so if you are interested, highly recommend getting in touch with me so that I can make sure you're ready. It would count for half of your discussion points, and you can learn more about how it actually reduces climate change. Can you think of why having more land uninterrupted, undisturbed, would increase or decrease the effects of climate change? You might think about not taking the oil and gas out of the land to go back up in the atmosphere, and also sequestering or keeping the carbon as a sink in the trees. So you're going to log your participation, do a reflection, and then highlight. This is a little new. Highlight this participation rubric if you attend one of the discussions. All right, so that wraps up Unit 7. Again, track back to this is a fun lesson. What does a sit spot have to do with a chemical? Dives more into DDT. You can watch that lesson on the Wonderment as well. All right, you guys, I'm excited to see you on Friday, or if you choose to join us for the discussion. And then here I'll give you a little look at this coyote bear's dug a hole. She's chilling out. So, good luck. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.